Let's get lit. Welcome back to the channel. So one of the best ways that you can increase the visibility of your trailer and actually increase the longevity of your lights is to switch out the type of lights you use. And LED lights have become an affordable way to get better visibility on the road and also to have something that lasts a lot longer. As you can see right here, I have a old style light that I installed on my trailer, and I had an incident. If you look at my Labor Day video, you can see where, I explained that I was trying to manipulate around some idiots and ended up hitting the dock, and it happens. So if you hadn't ever backed into something accidentally, or you hit something wrong way trying to go around idiots or avoiding idiots, it's gonna happen. So I needed to change this out, but also on the same side here, my marker light went out. So a side marker light is always running light, and I have changed out the other side before, changed out the connection, but I never did change out the actual light. So what we're going to do is, it's just as cheap to get new lights, new light fixtures, everything, than it is to get replacement bulbs. So we're just going to install new lights totally, not just change out bulb, but change out the entire light structure. So I'll show you how to do that. So these are the LED replacement side marker lights. You will notice they're brown and white. Brown is the constant current, and then white is the ground. Then you'll see these. These are half as thick as normal trailer lights, normal regular, lights like you'd normally find on a trailer. That's because it has LEDs. This actually has a pretty good number of LEDs. Then this is left side because it has the yellow, brown and white. The green, white, and brown are the right hand side, and you will notice that it has a white light underneath. That is for your tag. So to connect these, I'll show you what I'm using for them. This is just nothing more than some self-soldering wire connectors. All you do is you put the wires together, you wrap them together, heat them up with a heat gun, and that's that. Super simple. And I always like to put a little bit of electrical tape around it just to make sure it's nice and solid, but it's not required, just something I do a little extra. So one of the things that you have to deal with these older models, they come with a bolt in the back of them, and you got your hole there. So I'm gonna have to drill new holes and run them through. So that'll be something I've got to mark and drill. This right here was a 10 millimeter bolt or nut here. So I got that apart. I'll tear apart the actual wiring that comes with this to put the new wiring through. But first I need to change the connectors. I'm going to show you what I'm doing there. This comes with 4 screws, and the screws are just supposed to go right into that metal there that I make a hole for. That ain't gonna work. So what I've got to do is get some stainless steel screws to go through, or actual nuts to go through, where I put a bolt or a nut behind it, and a nut and a washer. So we're going to do that next. Okay, so what I did, I've got some screws that are so I've got some lock nuts, I got some washers, some 8/32 So there we go. I always like to have a piece of cardboard put under here so that I'm not on the dirt, and kind of protects me a little bit. Let's get under here. Okay, now with this, what I'm going to do is take my wire cutters, come in here and cut this off. Okay, due to some issues with the wiring, I actually am going to have to splice in some extra wire. So I've got some right here. Of course, I've lost my connector. Got some heat shrink right here that'll go on it. I'll connect that. I'll disconnect this part here, and then we'll go on to the next step. That comes out right there. Now what I'll do is I'll twist the two wires. I'm going to run this over this first, because this is the one I want to use. Run it down over my sleeve, or down through my sleeve, like this. Now I'll twist the wires. Now put it right, that twist right there where that solder is. Now take this heat gun and heat it up, and we'll go from there. And that's that. Super, super easy. We'll let that cool. Go on to the next. Now what I did is I just took some electrical tape and wrapped it around so that I can put it through here and it won't rub. I don't want that hole to rub. So we'll make sure this is good. Get it through. And then go from there. That's actually a little bit too thick or too thin, so I'm going to actually go core this out a little bit. Could do this one. Wouldn't have to core it out. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do that. Actually, if I do this, there we go. I like that. So that's what I'm going to do right there. Now I'm going to get a something to mark this with, and we'll drill the holes. Okay, so what I've done is I put some little slits in a piece of paper plate, running my screws through the holes like that to hold them in place. Now I've got them in there, and now I've got a can of black spray paint. I'm just doing the tops of them black, and I'm gonna let that dry, and then that will go blend in straight with the lights. Okay, so now I'm going to fish these lights through there, and then I've got to add a connector and a few other things. I'll show you that. Alright. So we're going to run these through here. First thing I gotta do got one of these connectors here. It's a terminal connector that will go over one of the nuts for the ground. Got to run this through. Make sure they're all together and twisted right. Run it through and then crimp it. Feels wonderful on a broken back. Just can't properly express how good this feels. Okay. Let's do it like this. One of these bigger connectors because I've got to go over more wires. Makes my life easier. Now the heat gun. There we go. That's that. And now next thing to do is put the nuts in and all that wonderful stuff. We'll do that. Right, so it's getting late in the day. Everybody's coming home. I've got to get these screws in here. These are sheet metal screws, stainless steel. So basically like bolts. And I'm gonna get these fitted in. Once I get these fitted in, I'll show you the next step. Alright, so I got these in. I went ahead and there was a tight fit, so I went ahead and screwed them in. Now I'm going to put the washer on the back with the lock nut, and I forgot my ratchet. Alright, now we're going to get under here, put our washers on. We'll go ahead and hook up the ground, put this connector over one of the screws here. Fine. And then put on the lock nut. They're pretty good. Time to do this one. You don't want to over tighten. So you don't want to over tighten because you can break the plastic. You just want to get it tight enough. This right here has a lock nut on it, so this won't go anywhere. Alright, and that's that. That's all good. It's down good. Now I'm going to put electrical tape on the wires. But other than that, we're good with this side. And then I'll do the next side. I won't film that, and then we'll probably do the brake lights tomorrow because it's about to get dark, and GoPro does not like low light conditions. So yay. Oh, finally. Guys, this has been one of those days where I can't win for losing. Everybody's coming home, mail's running. I've been trying all day long to get this started, so we're going to do the tail lights. I'll be right with you. So the first thing that we need to do is get this took care of. So I'm going to cut this line off here, and then this will connect up here like that once I take that off. So I'm going to go ahead and take these right here, these connections, and cut that line. I'm going to go ahead and strip the ends off, get them ready for heat treatment with the self-soldering. Now we need to get these bolts off here. 7/16. Nope. 3/8. Nope. So we're doing with 11s metric. Alright, I'm on camera number 2 because the GoPro shut off. I was getting phone calls, dogs are barking. You know, normal day. Anyway, you can see my 2 lines down here. My white line was too small, so what I did is I ran it back. Can't speak today, so I ran it back here and then just tightened up that, and so that's my my light setup so far. So now what I'm going to do is use one of these connectors that I've been telling you about and connect these two. Of course, the helicopter's coming, so that's going to mess up my audio. I'll just wire the 2 wires together for each of the lines and heat shrink them on. Okay, so now we got those heat connectors on there. I'm just taking the heat gun and melting them on. Alright, I've got to tie up the cables with some wires with some wire ties, but other than that, that is done. I just wrapped it with some electrical tape just for some extra security, but really and truly it's not required with those heat shrink wraps. The heat shrink wraps already have the self-soldering in it, so get you some of those. I'm going to do the other side. I won't show that on video, and then we will show the final results at nighttime. Well, the side marker lights are working, but sadly enough, tail lights aren't. I think it's the ground. I'm pretty sure it's the ground. So I'll probably handle that tomorrow. But you can see the side there. Yeah. It's kind of funny. The wife said that she's thinking about doing her own YouTube channel of all that goes wrong and all the behind scenes stuff. So if you're interested in that, I could do some videos with behind scenes stuff, but this is going to be a project for tomorrow sometime whenever I get free from mediations. So in my highly uneducated opinion, I think what the problem is the ground. So what I've done is I've took 2 pieces of scrap ground wire, and I'm going to put one of the terminal connections on here. I won't show you that. You've seen that before. I'll wrap it with some black tape just because I like to add an extra layer. Not really doing that much, but I like to do it anyway. And then we'll take off the ground, cut that, use some the heat shrink soldering, and connect the two, and that should fix everything, I hope. I think it's important to explain why I think it's the ground, because a lot of people won't realize why the ground is so important. If your lights won't come on, about 90% of the time it's going to be your ground. And you can tell with these right here, there's a lot of slack, so it's not really making a good ground connection all the time. And so what I'm going to do is go to a different area on the trailer, and for that I have to splice the line, because this is not long enough, because I came out of the top instead of out of the bottom like most of the older lights would do, or at least in the middle. Otherwise I probably would have had enough line, but that's the reason why. Now the other question is, some of y'all be asking, is why didn't this clown test it before he waited for nighttime? That is because I live in Florida, which is just below hell on the ranking of stuff, and that means that it was like 110 heat index, and I was getting severely dehydrated. I was getting overheated, and so I actually had to go inside and cool down. I was starting to see stars, and things were getting black and white, and I was getting dizzy. So that's the reason why I waited until nightfall. Otherwise I would have stayed out here and played around with it. So that kind of gives you some explanation. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off, and then I'll splice the lines. So I'm going to put this back on here as well, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, so I've got those wires wrapped. I got sleeve over it. Now time to do the heat treat with the heat gun. Another little trick to consider. These come in different sizes, and if you feel that you're not getting a good enough connection, go to the next size up from what the wire is that you're using. So that will give you more solder. I actually got a better solder connection on the ground than I do these two here. I think these two are fine. I think it was sufficient, but in this case I went one up just to show y'all that the soldering is way better. So going the next size up than what they state will give you better solder, more solder to use, and give you a better connection generally. You don't want to go too far up, because then it won't seal up right, but in this case this will be a perfect connection. I've got solder everywhere, so that's awesome. Okay, so I've connected right here and put my tape over here after using the heat gun. That should fix it. I think that's going to make a better ground connection. I think that's where the problem is. So we're going to test it out first, and then I'll do a nighttime to show you it working better. Alright, you can actually see it here that there is a steady light on. That's the reason why I like at night, especially on bright days. It was very bright yesterday, but they are on. You can see it here better. The light is coming from the tag light on this side going over my tag, and hopefully you can see the blinking now with the lights. I must say, one thing I do love, if you haven't seen my lighted guidepost DIY, look at that, because those right there, even with a busted tail light right here, I still got turn signal, I still got all the stuff that I need. It keeps me safe. So if you're going to do a DIY guidepost, it actually has a light at the very top, so when I have the lights on you'll see that, and then it has the blinking lights and steady running lights. I think it's awesome. So give it a try. We'll do a night video just to show you what it looks like at night, but this thing right here, you should be able to see it on the road. It's safe, and that's the main thing. Be safe always. Okay, so again, we got the side marker lights working. Of course, our guideposts, and you can see the yellow lights and all that working. There's the tail light. And here's the back view of it. And of course the flashers are working great. So there we are. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. Go ahead, subscribe. Comment down below what changes you would like for me to work on with the trailer, or what things you might think be helpful. And with that, I'll see you again next time. Bye.